judgment, 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 final judgment, final judgment, final
Welcome. Listen, these are the easiest post games to do. You know the deal. Tony Jigsaw Cutillo here. Final Judgment, Win Daily Sports, Heat Ratio Sports, and always every single verdict brought to you by SEObrand.com. Listen, man, we are perfect. We are living the pinnacle of Philadelphia right now. The pinnacle of Philadelphia. I mean, what a goddamn... I don't know how anything gets done this week in Philly. Anything. Nothing, like literally nothing is getting done in the next month, okay, in this town. Nothing. It's going to be a constant party where, there is so much going on. And let me just say this. Like, there's two people. My man Al checking in 6-0, baby. Let's go. 2-minute warning. Heat Ratio Sports. I want all the comments. I want all the reactions. Listen, I am hyped. I'm pumped. I want everybody. Let me know how you feel right now. I get it. Look, so many emotions in that game, right? First half, the second half, I'm already fired up. I was sweating the whole game. I was standing half the game, I was sitting half the game. I still got a bad leg, so I'm trying to not do too much, but it's so hard not to do it. Listen, we have been, Adam, big win. Hell with them cockroaches. Listen, this is not only is it a big win, but man, we just beat the Dallas Cowboys. And you know what? Listen, I get it. We're going to talk about it. There's a lot of stuff that happened in this game we have to talk about. A lot of stuff. We have to talk about. Air it out. I want to hear it. But there's two people that I just became tremendous fans of in this game. Two people, okay? Number one, okay, you may not even realize, but and I usually don't become big fans of these people. I don't. I'm going to be honest with you. But the expert official, Terry McAuley, the retired official that they throw in there like that stiff Dean Blandino, who I can't stand. They get Terry McAuley in there, and he actually, for once, he takes the side of our team. Listen, they did. The rest were terrible tonight. They're absolutely brutal. They blew so many calls. We're going to get to that. And he threw them up right under the bus, just like he's supposed to do. So big fan to me for Terry McAuley. My man Ivan checking in says, congrats on 6-0. Bills and Eagles still looking like favorites right now. Ivan, I agree, man. Listen, I'm telling you, like, the biggest enemy, I don't want to say enemy, but the biggest competition for the Philadelphia Eagles right now is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. It's simple as that. The biggest competition for the Philadelphia Eagles right now is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. It's number one, it's going to be health. Number two, it's going to be gameplay and scheme. And number three, listen, I'm happy, I'm elated, I'm excited, but what in God's name is Jonathan Gannon doing in the third friggin' quarter? I don't get it. We go completely soft. We go completely different style of defense. We don't rush the passer. We don't blitz. I get it. There were some people talking about, well, this guy didn't tackle, and this guy didn't. But the zone, the coverage sucked. We could talk about that all day long, but guess what? At the end of the day, you have to call the proper defense. And we got soft, and we were on our heels, and we just couldn't stop them. I'm like, what is going on here? But listen, it all comes to fruition. Okay, it comes out with the Eagles at 6-0. The Eagles are at 6-0. They lead the NFL. Listen, Philadelphia, speak out, rejoice, be happy. Right now, we got a Philadelphia Phillies team that looks like they cannot be stopped and are driven. We got a Philadelphia Eagles team that is 6-0. We got a 76ers team that's just getting ready to start. We got a Flyers team that's 2-0, and I don't even watch freaking hockey. Okay. And we got a Union team that still continues to play their ass off. So this is a great time to be a Philadelphia sports fan. Okay. And you know what? Listen, let's be honest. Screw all the national media people that sit out there and say the Philadelphia Eagles didn't play anybody. The Eagles didn't play nothing. Listen, here's what I'm going to say. Right now, I got a Minnesota Vikings team that's 5-1. But I guess we didn't play anybody. I got a Cowboys team. Everybody kept telling me that Cooper Rush is the next coming of. He's the next savior of the NFL. Everybody was talking about that. National media, everybody's going to be a rough game. This is an easily winnable game for the Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't matter. Cooper Rush, boo. At the end of the day, so what are we going to do? Say, now, well, the Eagles won't only beat anybody. Now the narrative will be, well, the Eagles beat the Cowboys with Cooper Rush and not Dak Prescott. We already know this way it goes. Well, somebody finally give some damn credit to the Philadelphia Eagles for being the top team in the NFL. They are the only unbeaten team. Tell me how you cannot be 6-0 and not be named the top team in the NFL. Ivan, I completely agree with you. Vikings make an appearance on the show. Yes, 100%. Okay, because I think they're better than everybody gives them credit for. But they're telling me we didn't play anybody. My man Bill checking in, the rush is over. I love that. The rush is over. The rush is over. Slay shut down Lamb. He was quiet. Listen, he was. But I think the big unsung hero of this game in the secondary to me was James Bradbury. James Bradbury showed why that signing was absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. I can't say it enough. That signing was absolutely huge for the Philadelphia Eagles. This game got very, very scary. It got very scary after that first half. Cooper Rush was 18 of 38. The problem with the Cowboys, okay, which played in our favor, you cannot have Cooper Rush throw the ball 38 to 40 times. That's not going to be the winning model for your team. He is a game manager at best. We already know that. But when you throw him out there with 38 attempts, that's already a recipe for disaster. Jalen Hurts. Here's the funny thing about Jalen Hurts. Everybody say, Jalen Hurts, well, what did he have? Jalen Hurts was 15-25 for $155 and 2 touchdowns, but also had 27 yards on the ground. Only average. So this wasn't like this go all out Jalen Hurts kind of game. It started out to be that way. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, both with 5 catches, both with touchdowns. Okay. But how about one of the biggest catches of the game was early on with Jack Stoll. Like here's the thing. Nobody talks about Jack Stoll. I got to give Jack Stoll some credit here. He is the number 2 tight end on the team. And all he does is consistently get blocking assignments correct. He catches the ball when targeted. He's like one of those unsung heroes that all of a sudden throws in there. Might only get 1 or 2 catches a game, but you know what? He grabs them, and he's reliable. It's fantastic. Bill Checker says we got the running the ball, and ball control is a major weapon. I'll tell you, Bill, I cannot agree more. Just knowing when you get the ball, okay, and you're able to run at will, and you have the defense on their heels, okay? Not to mention that short yardage play, which is absolutely unstoppable, okay? The only thing is I got a little scared tonight. I don't want to get my quarterback killed, so we need to really be careful with that. Ivan says, what do you think of having a bye week next week? All the momentum for the Eagles have had this season, especially after this big win. I will tell you, Ivan, I love the bye week for one specific reason. The reason why I love the bye week, I love the momentum, but we just lost our right tackle to a concussion. And with a possibly shorter week because of the Sunday night game and concussion protocol, I do not want to see the Jack Driscoll experience anymore. He gives me nightmares of Winston Justice, and Philadelphia all remembers the Winston Justice game against the New York Giants. I want nothing to do with that again. So I just want Lane Johnson to go through his protocol, get the extra week off, because you saw how much our offense looked differently when Lane Johnson was not in there. Okay. Besides Jason Kelsey, the most important part of that line and possibly our team. So yes, that's the one reason why I love the bye week right now. I love the bye week. We need the bye week. Yes, going to hurt that late. Yeah, he's out, Adam. But here's the thing: he's out with the concussion. It's concussion protocol. So what's good is he's going to have 14 days to get back in the mix, which is a beautiful thing. Bill says back to the running the ball, Bill. 100%. Listen, when they can run the ball and set up everything with the offense, they are literally unstoppable, and they're doing it with actually all three running backs. You even see, listen, Boston Scott got back in the well tonight. Kenneth Gainwell, listen, 5 yards per carry. Miles Sanders, just under 4 yards per carry, but very patient running from Miles Sanders. Again, a huge deal for us. And I said this before, I tweeted it out. And again, make sure you're following at Judge Jigsaw on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you're following the Final Judgment page right here. The Final Judgment with Tony Jigsaw Cutillo. Make sure you're following that page. Got a lot of interviews, as always. The shows on Mondays and Thursdays. A lot of different segments, post-game reports, media appearances. If you want to hear from me, if you're not tired of hearing my voice, go check out that YouTube page, because everything's there and everything is podcast as well. But I tweeted it out and I said, listen, I don't remember, and maybe you guys can help me here, but I don't ever remember a more special offensive line. I mean, listen, I get it. We had the bookends with Trey Thomas and John Runyon, and before he got messed up in the head, Sean Andrews was amazing. But besides that, this is the most special offensive line I've ever seen. I really have. I mean, they just blow people off the ball. They really do. They blow people off the ball at will. They're master pass protectors too, run protectors and pass protectors. I mean, that's the amazing thing. Adam says, you think they should have took some shots down the field? I mean, the game script was different. Again, I don't really know what they were giving them. I think tonight, like I mentioned, that he didn't happen to be. I thought this was going to be a Dallas Goedert game, but what they did in the passing game was why I said it would be a Dallas Goedert game, except it was A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith getting those inside slants. And that was the most important part of this Dallas defense, the way to beat them, because you knew that they were going to bring those linebackers up and they were going to press us to make plays and try to stop the run in the middle of the field, just like Collinsworth kept saying against us was wide open. It was open against them too, because Van Der Esch and Micah Parsons were coming up. So, I don't know if those shots down the field were necessarily always there. I just think that, they got away from their game plan in the second half, which I really think that they need to look at, because this is, again, another game where we take our foot off the pedal and we just sit there and we allow teams to get in. That team was dead. That team was absolutely dead. And we let them right back in the game. Bill says, yeah, Scott looked good and keeping all running backs active keeps the defense guessing. Exactly. And different style running backs. That's what I like about it. Different style running backs. Boston Scott obviously had scat back, but has that sneaky physicality that you may not know unless you really watch him, right? Javon says, I wish we saw Hurts run the ball more earlier in the game. Love to see him take off on that final scoring drive. You know what, Javon, I said the same thing. I was sitting there watching the game with my son, and as soon as he took off on that big scamper, I was like, this is what needs to happen. Jalen needs to take off, because right now we needed that extra spark. We needed more of his legs. And why I respect that he's trying to be that guy that just sits in the pocket and, and takes the pressure, steps up and makes throws. I just don't want him ever to get away from his most prestigious weapon, which is his legs. I mean, that's something that we need to keep going, right? That's something we need to keep going, and I want him to keep going on that. They have to learn how to play 4 quarters. I agree, man. And here's the thing, that's not even from the offensive standpoint, or that's from both. Okay, Shane Steichen has to look in the mirror a little bit and figure out what the hell he was doing. okay, with the offensive play calling in the second half. I know it changed when Lane Johnson went out, but you have to know how to adjust for that. Listen, you're an offensive coordinator on a team in the NFL that is playing at a high level. If you don't have a plan B and plan C in your back pocket, then you shouldn't be on the sideline. And yes, I'm going to be honest with you. I did say, and I'll continue to say, listen, I am not. I'm giving him time, but I'm not all in on this Jonathan Gannon wagon. I've never been all in on a Jonathan Gannon wagon. Okay, I've always said that I feel like there's limitations with Jonathan Gannon. And again, I did tweet it out. Listen, I think there's a reason. I'm not playing this up, man. There is a big time reason why they brought in Vic Fangio. You could say what you want, special consultant, this and that. Listen, that is just a way to get him into the building. Vic Fangio, okay, will be the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles next year. Mark it, book it, okay? Not because Jonathan Gannon's going to get fired, but for some reason, Jonathan Gannon has this moxie about him that everybody's going to fly over this guy to be a head coach on their team. And you know what? That's fine. Go ahead. Congratulations. I'm sorry, but this has been happening way too often. The Achilles heel of this team is going to be how that when they get up for a lead, that they take the foot off the pedal on the defensive side of the ball. The offense, I think, can be fixed. I think we're making a little bit too much out of the offense. I think that tonight, the offense, it was schemed because of, you had the injuries along the line, and then Dallas got back into it. So they kind of got shell-shocked a little bit. So I'll give that to them. But on the defensive side, there is absolutely zero excuse for that. And again, I know he was laughing at the end, but did somebody see Fletcher Cox in that second half? I'm just asking, man. This is my issue sometimes, right? This is my issue. Listen, I love Fletch, done a lot of big things for Philadelphia, and I get it. He's made a lot of big plays, but you can't just keep getting blown off the ball, man. That's again, that can't happen. You can't make the money that you make and put yourself in a position that you are, and you're getting blown off the ball, and you were not double covered. We were not double covered. Okay. The person like Javon just says, we need more Jordan Davis in the middle. He was getting double covered. He was commanding respect. He was getting blown off the ball by two guys. Fletcher Cox was getting blown off the ball by one guy. And that cannot happen. I'm sorry. That cannot happen. Gannon took his foot off the gas in the second and third quarters. Defense lost that edge. Yeah, I don't know what the hell was going on there. I'm still trying to figure it out. Bill says their pass rush is too fast. Those big plays down the field are much more difficult. I don't think we would have had that time to allow for that play to develop. And what Bill's talking about is when Adam said, do you think they should have took more shots down the field? Bill, I completely agree with your answer. Completely agree that defense was getting after it. It was getting quick. And usually when we see those plays that down the field, those shots, they do take a longer time to develop. And you notice that Jalen wasn't going in that 5 to 7 step drop again. So, he didn't have that offensive mindset to be going down the field in this game. I just think it was game script and a different kind of play. How about the beautiful play, which was the nice pass, the rollout to Devontae Smith for a touchdown. I love that play. Again, that's just more of the growth of Jalen Hurts. That's the same kind of throw that we saw Jalen Hurts again. My boy, Adam, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a Meek Mill guy. I think that thing's getting way overblown, for my opinion. I mean, listen, I respect the guy and his work, but okay, great. At the end of the day, I'm there to watch football. All right, I am a huge hip hop guy, but I can dial down the Meek Mill stuff right now. Okay, he's now all of a sudden the Philly legend, and they're making him out to be this Philly legend. So I'm done with that. The terrible CeeDee Lamb call. Okay, this terrible CeeDee Lamb call. With the Bradbury block in the back. How do you? I don't understand how you make these calls. And without instant replay, you sit there and you overturn the calls after you guys talk about it. Like, number one, are you allowing somebody in your head to basically that wasn't the person in front of the play to tell you again that didn't happen? That was an obvious call, an obvious bad play. What you did was you allowed that Dallas sideline to get into your head and start thinking, maybe I didn't see what I saw, right? It's a split-second reaction. Okay. And if you're not going to replay a call, then you just have to stick with it. I am so tired of the huddle between referees and all of a sudden you change a call. That can't happen. Okay. That can't happen. Your eyes see one thing. Okay. They see one thing and then they react. You need to go with that reaction. That bothered me. I think Bradbury was huge. And let me say this about CJ Johnson. Okay. This is what Philadelphia does to athletes that come from other cities. CJ Johnson, even though highly touted cornerback, or I should say safety, cornerback converted safety, highly touted, very respected by guys like Malcolm Jenkins who play with him out there in New Orleans. One knock on CJ was maybe he was a little immature. Okay, maybe he wasn't all in. Listen, if you read the papers out there in New Orleans, that was the only thing that was said about CJ Johnson negatively. Look what happens if that was true. And I don't know that's true because I have not followed his career until he came here. And the only highlights I saw were either on YouTube videos or on national media shows. Okay. So, but I will say is that's how Philadelphia changes the modern day athlete. So let's just say that stuff was true. You watch CJ Johnson going to a play, trying to rip a ball out. Obviously, does something to his hand, does something to his arm. He's in dire pain. Walks off the field, goes to the locker room. Okay, I guarantee you, if that was New Orleans and that stuff that was written about him was true, I guarantee you he's done. He doesn't even try to come back in that game. But no, what does he do? He gets the tape up, he warms up, he comes into the game, and what does he do? He makes a fantastic play. Okay, so this is why I say Philadelphia, as much as we, and I say we because I am Philadelphia, as much as we get flack for our attitude and our moxie and the way we go about our business, okay, there is a good and there is an underlining formula on why we do what we do. And again, it brings the best out of so many athletes. I mean, you just see it. And I think tonight was one of those times. Bill says, I don't like the two play. That worries me. We look confused. Yeah, I didn't like that either. I didn't. I didn't like, Bill, I didn't like that that 2 point play call. I didn't like that. I thought we rushed that. I thought we got up there. We were kind of unsure about a couple things. I wasn't a big fan of that. Javon says, shout out to Kazir White and TJ Edwards. One solid again. Linebackers at DBs have been great through the first 6 games. Yeah, man. Listen, Javon, me and you both know, how much love that we have for Kazir White. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. The first thing I do when we get a free agent, see, it's a good thing, and Javon knows this too. Make sure you give him a follow at J Alfred 10. J Alfred 10 on Twitter does a lot of fantastic stuff, especially for sporting news as well. Writing articles, putting out prop bets, giving some great insight. And Javon knows, just like I know, if we make a trade or we sign a big free agent, the first thing I'm doing is I'm using my connections within the sports industry, not for no disrespect, but not for just fans, but trying to get media members, beat writers who I think have the most prestigious and underrated job in all of sports and get their opinion on this guy. And I remember specifically that, I say it all the time, as you know, I do a serious show. I help co-host a serious show on the weekends. And one of our guests all the times is David Meltzer, does some fantastic stuff within the community and the sports community and covers at times for San Diego, now LA Chargers. And the first thing he said to me, and I'll say it again, is when we signed Kazir White, we got on the show that day and he said, Tony, shaking his head, he said, we let one go. He said, we let one go. You are going to love this guy. He said, this guy is a tackling machine. He lives, breathes, and sleeps NFL football. And I'll tell you what, Javon sees it. I see it. This kid is amazing. He's only on a 1-year deal. So the one thing about Kazir White is he's playing for a contract. Now, will he get it here? It will be interesting because you do have, Nakobe Nakobe Dean sitting there, and they alluded to that, inside the broadcast about, Nakobe Dean was supposed to come in and automatically just be the starter. We know in Philadelphia that honestly was never the case. Watching through training camp, they were still working on him and perfecting his style as it relates to the NFL level. Okay, but that's why when you have a guy like Kazir White that could do so many different things, and a very, very underrated TJ Edwards. I mean, listen, we were all sitting there and thinking about, TJ Edwards, can he be this guy? And he's really coming to his own. He's really coming to his home. I mean, we did not want to let Jordan Hicks go. And again, we let Jordan Hicks go. We thought that was going to be our nemesis. And lo and behold, TJ Edwards has slid right into that role, and he's looked phenomenal. So a lot of good things right there. Yeah, so listen, I mean, we're 6-0. I think the bye hasn't come it couldn't come at a better time. Let's get guys healthy. And let me ask you guys this too. Another thing I noticed, or I heard and I noticed, but who really scares me is Landon Dickerson. I know he's a phenomenal player, and he's always had that, he had that very well documented injury history on why he dropped in the draft a little bit. And I know we went up and got him. And a lot of question marks about that, but he has performed at a very, very high level. But hurt again, like every game, I feel like this kid leaves the game. Every game, I keep hearing Landon Dickerson not on the field, Landon Dickerson in the locker room, Landon Dickerson questionable to return. Like, is this going to be what we continue to deal with on a normal basis? I don't know, but it scares me. That's the one thing that scares me, is when you consistently see a guy that's often injured or often questionable in games and goes out. So one thing to look about, but we need to regroup. Even though, listen, we are 6-0. We sit on top of our mountain. Okay, so everybody can say what they want. We're going to sit on top of the mountain, and you're going to hear all night and all tomorrow. You're going to hear all about how we let up some points and how this was a winnable game for the Dallas Cowboys. And, we're going to hear all about it. And Dak Prescott, the narrative is not going to be the Philadelphia Eagles being 6-0. It's going to be, the Dallas Cowboys persevering through the Dak Prescott injury, riding Cooper Kupp as much as they could. Okay. That's all it's going to be. We all know that. We all know exactly what it's going to be. Okay. So just get ready for it. Okay. The only guy every now and then that may stick up for us is going to be Stephen A. Smith. Okay, who many people may not like him, but at least he comes to our rescue more times than not. So, yeah, Adam says, go Birds. Absolutely, man. Listen, this has just been a phenomenal time in the city of Philadelphia, a phenomenal sports town with a ton of history. And what's great is, and I say this before, and we didn't have it tonight. Again, it's Sunday night. It's late. I get it. So I didn't expect a ton of people to be checking in, which is fine. But, when we did this, we went post game for the Philadelphia Phillies game 2. The amount of people checking in from different states, from different countries was phenomenal. I love to be able to bring this kind of atmosphere, okay, to the next level, which has been fantastic. As always, man, make sure that you're following the Final Judgment. A lot of big things coming up. We got a ton of things planned. Ton of interviews in the works, different events, things of that nature. Javon says Eagles wrapped up the weekend strong, and now we get started with the Phillies and Sixers on Tuesday. Sixers opening up against Boston, big time game. It was really nice to see Joel Embiid out at the bank. Okay, Citizens Bank Park at the link tonight. A lot of good things going on right there. Saw Tyrese Maxey at the Philadelphia Flyers. They gave him a ceremonial jersey with the Maxey number on it, which was great. Just a lot of good vibes going on right now. A lot of good things happening. And, I'm blessed and I'm fortunate, to be able to do what I do here. Listen, I know I dropped a lot of mic drops on the last one. Okay. I dropped a lot of mic drops, and I kind of, directed that at certain people. And, those certain people probably are too busy and they probably don't watch, but that's okay. But I have no regrets. I will continue to have no regrets. Again, my nickname is Jigsaw. And the reason why my nickname is Jigsaw is because I talk the way I feel. And if I have an opinion, I give it. Well, you don't like it, I don't care. Just like Philadelphia, you don't like us, we don't care. That's exactly where we're at. But we are 6-0. We are the Philadelphia brethren, I should say. Okay, but we are 6-0. We got a big game coming up. Big series against San Diego Padres. As always, Heat Ratio Sports, Win Daily Sports, and sponsored by our good friends, as always, SEObrand.com, the place where all analytics begin. Like I say all the time, everybody stay healthy, stay safe. Also remember, some people have thoughts, some people have takes, but on this show, you get the final judgment.